Hi everyone. I just want to take a couple minutes to discuss why I'm leaving LinkedIn. I started on LinkedIn back in 2007 when it was still relatively new. Back then it was a straightforward network. You created a profile with your job history, you linked up with any of your friends on the platform, and you looked for jobs, most of which weren't even posted on LinkedIn. It was useful and I was a fan. At the time, I ran a website that did job listings, much smaller of course, and I appreciated their approach. I would say that for the first 3 or 4 years, LinkedIn actually improved. The job search tools got a little better and they added the ability to write recommendations for people, which was kind of cool. I don't think it made a ton of difference, but it seemed like a nice feature at the time. One thing LinkedIn had from the beginning was the feed, where the people you knew could post things just as they did on Twitter or Facebook. Frankly, it was the least interesting part of LinkedIn. It felt like they were copying what the social networks were doing. It was okay though, back then most posts were related to employment. Political posts and pictures of cats were at a minimum. It kind of felt like a place for the grown-ups to talk. But the feed wasn't that big a feature, and I rarely had anything job-related to say, because who wants to talk about work in their spare time? The people on LinkedIn, I guess. They introduced more features over the years, but I wouldn't say they were improvements. Then, like all the other social networks, they became obsessed with two things: engagement and monetization. The goal for the owners of the site stopped being about getting people jobs. The focus became getting people to stay on the site. They added things like influencers. I think we all know what an influencer is now, but at the time it was a fairly new term to me. In the world of LinkedIn, it meant they encouraged you to subscribe to business experts, but they weren't really there to help you get a job, just to spew nuggets of bland business advice that carried more weight because LinkedIn said that they were worth listening to. I never really bought into any of that, but it was easy enough to ignore. Things didn't really get bad until they started pushing LinkedIn Premium. To be clear, LinkedIn Premium has been part of the site from the beginning, but it mainly started as a tool for recruiters who wanted the ability to contact people they weren't actually connected to, which kind of makes sense. Eventually, selling you premium services became LinkedIn's overwhelming goal. It's always bugging me to go premium. And I tried it once. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't worth nearly half the money of what they want you to pay. The other issue was that they became more and more desperate to keep you on their site. There's endless notifications and featured news and just a ton of useless stuff that isn't going to get me a job or a promotion or anything important. The most it's going to do is distract me from my overall goal of building my career. Add to that the inevitable decline of the feed. Just like all the other social media sites, and LinkedIn is clearly a social media site, the LinkedIn feed has devolved into self-promotional crap and political side-taking and just plain nonsense. I can't scroll through a dozen posts before I run into something that upsets me. The final straw, though, is the direct messages. I'm always getting offers. Sounds great, right? Nope, they're all garbage. I get offers to have a 20-minute chat with someone who wants to sell me video services or content solutions or a fabulous sales opportunity. Sometimes I do get actual job inquiries. Usually they are the exact same job, but from 5 different recruiters. Worst of all, most of the jobs are terrible jobs. I get inquiries for jobs that pay half of what I make now, but I only find that out after 6 messages from the recruiters who are trying not to tell me how terrible the pay is. No thanks. If I was desperate for work, maybe I'd find LinkedIn useful. The one thing it has going for it is that you can still do a job search there. The thing is, there's a dozen different major sites that you can do that at, so when it comes to job searches, LinkedIn is nothing special. It's just repeating the same list of jobs you can find on Dice, Monster, Indeed, or just through Google. Those sites aren't great either, and they are just as desperate for you to sign up with them, but for the most part you can get the information without getting an account. The minute you can't, it's time to move on. The point is, LinkedIn is no longer a job site. It's just another social media site. Except it hangs the possibility of making money in front of your nose to keep you showing up. That's a shame, because the core things LinkedIn used to do were pretty handy. But I guess that didn't make enough money for the owners. Who, by the way, are Microsoft. So A, they don't need your money, and B, they're going to try and take it anyway. Looking for a job and building a career are important, especially if you're stuck in a capitalist society that pits the working class against each other. Not pointing any fingers. And I wish they were a site dedicated to doing that, but that's not what LinkedIn is for. It's just another place that wants your eyeballs, your information, and your money. I've got YouTube for that. What are your thoughts? Do you find LinkedIn useful? Do you prefer something different, maybe something I didn't mention? Because I'd love to know about a really good site. Let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, I'll see you soon.